What is going on, boys and girls? It's the one and only the Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael, Lee Sanders of the RCWR Show, coming at you with some big breaking news for this Wednesday night of June 24th, 2015. It is a little bit close to midnight over here on the East Coast. So I was checking out a little bit of tonight's all new Impact Wrestling, as it was the final Impact Wrestling and setting up the Slammiversary live pay-per-view event that's going to be happening this Sunday. And yes, we will be covering that event. We'll be covering Fallout. Make sure you join us, as we will be coming on live as soon as Slammiversary goes off the air. So 10:50 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Eastern at the latest this Sunday. We'll be doing a special simulcast here on YouTube and also on Spreaker.com. But interesting big piece of news that had came from out of tonight's Impact Wrestling episode, and that had to do with the return of TNA co-founder Jeff Jarrett. Yes, I said Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett made his return to the TNA organization. There's a couple of different ways you can look at this return. Technically, this was his first return back to the company since he resigned from the company back in 2013. But remember, he still has stock within TNA Wrestling, as he remained an investor in TNA. Yes, he still holds stock with the company, but he's pretty much just been, as far as we know, not doing anything with the organization. Now, you longtime Jeff Jarrett fans, you know that during his time in TNA Wrestling, both when he was not only a booker, but he was doing things behind the scenes as a creative assistant or whatnot, and he was also doing the wrestling. You know that there was some very questionable things that was going on behind the scenes surrounding himself and Karen Angle, or now she's Karen Jarrett, but at the time it was Karen Angle, as she was at one point married to the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle. And you know, we've heard over the years a lot of various things that went on. We're hearing a little bit of adultery. This person cheated on this person. However the case may be, I don't want to just focus on the speculation. One thing was for certain, things were very tense, you would imagine, on that TNA roster, especially for that specific trio. And eventually we saw a situation occur where Jeff Jarrett, he was gone from the TNA promotion for a good minute. As remember, there was some match that he did with Kurt Angle, and there was a huge stipulation that was put in that match, which basically said if Kurt Angle had lost, or correction, if Jeff Jarrett had lost, then he would be banned from TNA Wrestling. My mind is a little bit fuzzy. It was either a match that he had against Kurt Angle, or it was a match that he had against Jeff Jarrett. But one thing I remember for certain was after he lost the match, and this is like as clear as day, I remember he went to Eric Bischoff and he was like, "Come on, you're not going to enforce that, are you?" And Eric Bischoff was like, "No, we are going to enforce that. Yeah, you're gone. Just like the stipulation that was put in that match, you're gone." And like, we never saw him come back to TNA, at least as far as an on-screen character goes. We didn't see him come back. Of course, we heard all the things that he was doing with Ring-Ka King, but it just added more fuel to the speculation, if you will, that there was something brewing. There was something going on between Jeff Jarrett, Dixie Carter, and crew. You all know about his endeavors, or at least I hope you do. You know about his endeavors as far as what's been going on with Global Force Wrestling over the past 18-something months, as he's been building that up. They finally started doing their own series of shows. Attendance has been a little bit low for those events. We actually did talk about that in depth on our podcast this week, so make sure you show that some love and check it out. All the links you need is in this episode description. But Jeff Jarrett made his return. Great promo that he had cut. Now, for those of you that did not watch Impact Wrestling tonight, it's on your DVRs. Trust me, this was a really good episode. You definitely want to go out of your way to check it out. I'm not doing a full review of Impact Wrestling. I'm just homing in on Jeff Jarrett returning to TNA. And pretty much the gist of Jeff Jarrett's promo, as far as why he's back in TNA and all that, basically he's looking to end things with TNA on the right foot. And check this out. You know how the King of the Mountain match that made TNA so famous over the years is coming back at Slammiversary? Well, Jeff Jarrett is going to be wrestling in that match. He pretty much said, win, lose, or draw, that's pretty much it. This is pretty much his big send off, if you will. So you hear that and you're like, wow. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't check all of Impact Wrestling. I just pretty much knew about what happened towards the end with Jeff Jarrett. If they did not announce who's going to be going into this year's TNA Hall of Fame, which they should be making the announcement actually at Slammiversary, as the next big TNA event that's going to happen, if I'm not mistaken, is Bound for Glory. So I would think that some type of an announcement is going to be happening at Slammiversary. We'll wait and see as far as that goes. But you see this line of communication between Jeff Jarrett, Global Force, and Jeff Jarrett wasn't there in just a traditional black t-shirt or a solid shirt. He was there representing Global Force, as it was clear as day over his chest. So you see why he's there, and you kind of get the impression that there has been some type of an arrangement made between Global Force, TNA Wrestling. At least there is something as far as lines of communication go. I have a feeling that TNA, Global Force, they're going to be doing business with each other for probably many years to come if everything else aligns itself perfectly, as Jeff Jarrett has been teasing some news that's been happening all throughout the week. He's sitting on something that he's going to be revealing very, very soon. What that is, I have no clue. But if you're a Jeff Jarrett fan, this is great news to hear, especially for the TNA product, as you hear the news that came about with them in Destination America. Will they continue to stay with Destination America, as rumors have it that Destination may drop TNA come September? Just all this speculation stuff. And I hate really focusing on the speculation talk because there's nothing that's clear cut in there, but it's nice to kind of get people talking and all that. Now, one new element that I want to share with you guys that probably not that many people are talking about with regards to this news. And this comes from Wade Keller of PW Torch. He's reporting that the morale backstage for TNA is in pretty rough shape right now, among specifically the wrestlers. A lot of this has to do with the fact that they were not told of Jeff Jarrett being at tonight's Impact Wrestling show, nor were they told that Jeff Jarrett was going to be at Sunday's pay-per-view. So you kind of hear that, you're like, and I can kind of understand where the wrestlers might be coming from. If you just kind of put yourself in their shoes for a little bit, they're probably looking at Jeff Jarrett and they're saying, wow, when we needed help the most with the brand, this guy just basically walked away. He didn't help us when we needed it the most. And what the hell? Why is this guy coming back all of a sudden? Hey, it's pretty obvious all he is doing is just coming back to just basically push his brand. Why are the powers that be in TNA working with this guy when it's really benefiting him? It's not really the other way around. What the hell is going on? So I can kind of understand it from their standpoint, why they may feel as though this is kind of like, what the hell, why this looks kind of bad. But at the same time, I think that's a little bit premature to just rush to judgment like that. After all, TNA would not be there if it wasn't for the Jarretts. So in essence, whether they like it or not, they got to learn how to live with it and really just look at it from the standpoint of, hey, one of the founders of TNA is back. He's doing business with us in some type of capacity. Hey, this is pretty good. Maybe this will not only reignite TNA, but maybe at the same time, whatever Jeff Jarrett is trying to do, maybe it will help him in his business as well. And I'm telling you, I think this is just one step in a big domino effect going into the near future of TNA and Global Force, possibly exchanging talents and all that. As you know, that's Jeff Jarrett's whole deal nowadays. He's trying to acquire all these different talents from various promotions. And I'm not going to go into all that because, I mean, there's a couple of areas in there with this whole nice idea that he has for Global Force that kind of makes you go, okay, well, why didn't you try to do this in TNA? Or well, that sounds good, but look at these house shows that you just did for Global Force, all the talent you said you could pull. You have this entirely different story. Like I said, we talked about it in depth on the podcast, so I recommend you check that out. But I'm ecstatic. I'm actually happy. It's nice that we got Jeff Jarrett returning. What do you guys think? I want to hear you all's thoughts. Post those comments down below. I'll go a little bit more in depth about this on the weekend edition of the RCWR Show Extra, which you'll be able to catch exclusively here on YouTube. In the meantime, speaking of Jeff Jarrett, in case you might have missed it, we actually did have the opportunity to interview Jeff Jarrett sometime earlier this year. It was actually right before Global Force Wrestling had presented Wrestle Kingdom 9. It was a great conversation. I believe we talked to him for about, I want to say it was probably 40 minutes, might have been 45. Check it out. It's available right now here on our YouTube channel under the Guest Exclusives playlist. And if it's your first time checking us out, I'd love to have you subscribe to us so you never miss out on all the great content we do for you here on a weekly basis. Share this all throughout social media. Make sure you give this a thumbs up. You're showing your love and appreciation for us video creators when you do. That's going to do it until next go round. Please be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. We'll see you next go round. Take care.